I want to answer a question about what is meant by the absolute and the relative, because that's really the foundation of anything you want to know. You need that first, because that explains everything. The absolute is that which is always so, and the relative is that which is sometimes so. And it's really that simple. And I use Lincoln Logs to describe this. And this is not an exact truth, but it's like a parable. So we'll start with that. We'll say the first level of reality, and we'll call it the atomic level. We'll call that the absolute. Atoms always are, and they never change. And let's say the atoms make up a Lincoln log. The atoms don't stop being atoms to become the Lincoln log. And then you take the Lincoln logs and you make a house. The Lincoln logs don't stop being Lincoln logs to be a house. And then you take a picture of the house. And the house doesn't stop being a house to be the photo. So the Lincoln logs and the photo, the house, the atomic, it is all of those. It never stops being one to be the other. It is those all the time. But we use language like the atomic level happens before the Lincoln log level, and the Lincoln log is before the house level, and the house level is before or prior to the picture level. And it's not a reference to time, it's more of a within. So you can destroy the photo and you haven't destroyed the house. And you can destroy the house and the Lincoln logs have stayed the same. And you destroy the Lincoln logs and the molecules, the atoms, have stayed the same. And you can smash the house and you can say, hey, Lincoln logs, you were just a house. And the Lincoln logs will say, no, we're not. We've just only ever been Lincoln logs. You created this notion of house, but we were just in a different pattern, that's all. We never stopped being Lincoln logs to be a house. We were never a house. That's something that was only true on your level. And in that way, we create the different realms. We create that. We put label of house onto Lincoln logs. We put label of Lincoln logs onto atoms. We create our universe in that way. So the absolute realm would be in this instance, in this example, the atoms would be the pure energy of the universe. It doesn't go below that. It'll never stop being below that. That's the pure existence. And everything else comes and goes. So take that and you see that the atomic level is the most pure. It's the level before all of other things. That is the only true level in this example. These are all levels of reality. But the other realms are relative. The picture of the house isn't really a house, and it's not really a picture. It's atoms that make up this. And the house is not really a house. It's only relatively a house because it's just the illusion created by a pattern of Lincoln logs. And the Lincoln log is only relatively real because it's just an illusion created by the atoms. The atoms make up the entire universe. The atoms make up the air, the grass, the dirt, the water, the glass, the steel. Everything is made of the atoms. And Muji would call that the unmanifest. The atoms are the realm of reality that's prior to everything else. It's at the atomic level, nothing's there yet. It's not a piece of paper yet. And you can take a piece of paper and you can zoom into it all the way in to see the atoms, and And once again, it's not a piece of paper at that level. It's only when you zoom out that it becomes the piece of paper. So that's what's meant by the unmanifest and the manifest. They are one. It is both unmanifest, it is both atoms, and it is manifest, it is the thing. And let's build on this and introduce the concepts of good and bad. And is there such thing as an absolute good and an absolute bad? And I first heard this concept of good and bad not being real in Ayn Rand's book of The Virtue of Selfishness. And she said, good and bad only exist in relation to your goals. No object, no anything is born with a label of good or bad on it. If you need a hammer, an axe isn't necessarily good. If you need a hammer, a screwdriver is bad. If you need a nail, a screw is bad. If you're trying to lose weight, then this food is good. If you're trying to gain weight, this food is bad. Nothing is good or bad. Even atomic bombs aren't good or bad. You can use them to be very helpful and blow asteroids off their course towards Earth or towards Earth, whatever. So no thing that is a thing is good or bad, because there is some level where that breaks down. And you could say, for instance, the good is stealing absolutely good or bad? The Bible says it's bad, and God is of the absolute, so stealing must be absolutely bad. Well, if your body is nothing more than protons, neutrons, and electrons, and your friend's body is nothing more than proton, neutron, electron, and he's eating an apple that's nothing more than proton, neutron, electron, you steal his apple. That's only bad on this level where you are people and that apple is an apple. If you even zoom in 2 steps back to the atomic level, nothing even happened. There's no difference between person and apple. So stealing can't even go back 2 degrees of reality. It breaks down. Stealing is not good or bad. Even death, murder is not absolutely good or bad. And you could say, look at the death of Jesus, the murder of Jesus. Was it good or bad? Even something as obviously bad as murdering the Son of God turns out it was a great thing in that religion. It's a great thing because he saved so many people. Is it bad to kill the Son of God? Obviously, yes. Was it good to kill the Son of God? Obviously, yes. So even that is tricky. Even murdering God is tricky. It's not absolutely good or bad. There is no absolute good or bad, because good or bad is only local, and it breaks down the closer you get to pure existence. But you can say, yes, this is relatively good and this is relatively bad. But the more you start to see how reality works, and that everything that's a thing is just transient, you just lose your grip on good and bad. Labeling things as good or bad, talking about good and bad music. Is this music good? I mean, it's just a joke. It's just a joke when you see the grand scheme of things. And God is not trivial. There's not a God up there who's worried about theft. I mean, I don't believe it. It just doesn't make sense. And so from there, we get terms like this is relatively good or this is relatively bad. But it's hard to find anything that is absolutely good or bad. Once you get back to pure existence, you trace it all the way back beyond atomic, beyond subatomic. You get back to pure existence. It just is. And I love the Bible verse where God says, I am the great I am. Because the I am, just in the same way that the atomic level is before all things, it's the unmanifest. To finish the sentence, I am a, and then name an object, like name a noun or something, that is to limit God. So God can't even finish that sentence with a noun and say, I am the biggest thing in the whatever. He can't even say that. I am the I am. I am the great I am. And what's funny is when you see it, the Bible just spins. It's like you've been looking out a mirror you've been looking out a window your entire life. And all of a sudden, you're standing on the other side of the window and you're seeing the other way. It's the same window, but where you used to see outside, now you see inside. And so the Bible has totally new meaning once you have self-realization, or once you see the oneness or whatever sort of breakthrough